And we are rocking and rolling. We're big time live. We're big time live right now for Monday Night Football, and it's gonna be a fun game. Maybe a little bit of wet if it snows, but wild in terms of the wind. It's gonna be out there today, so this is a fun one in Buffalo, I believe, on the road. The wind meister himself, Billy Belichick, the defensive coordinator, bringing the wind with him out there. How y'all doing? Welcome in to a lovely Monday Night Football slate, but I believe $1 million to first place prize pool. Hey, now that means something. Some life-changing money. Tomorrow morning, you could wake up thanks to the wind and be a millionaire. Well, one way or another, because the wind is doinking field goals or the wind is scaring people off of these field goal kickers, and you get a couple 50-yard field goals in your lineup. Who knows? But yeah, it's windy as fuck out there. Upwards of 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts. There's videos of the goalpost shaking, so everybody and their mother's not going to play a kicker tonight. And I mean, that does make sense. We have some information of some crazy wind gusts. It makes sense. The play calling, though, like Bill Belichick, you have to also take into account play calling here. The Bills, they're a little bit more advanced. They're probably not going to try and kick these field goals. I mean, if it's like a 25-yard field goal, they're gonna fucking kick it. But in that case, they're probably in the red zone on 4th and short, and they're going to go for it. Bill Belichick, though, that man will kick a field goal. I mean, did you not see him in a bad weather game against Tom Brady earlier this year, kick like a 50-something yard field goal to try and win? Bill Belichick will kick field goals, right? He will kick field goals no matter what. So he is on the Pete Carroll level of old man yells at cloud in terms of the aggressiveness of going for 4th downs and things along those lines. Clearly a great coach. Clearly understands how to stop people on defense and make in-season and in-game adjustments as much as you can in-game. But in terms of going for it, pushing the boundaries on 4th downs, the field goal unit's coming out even in a win game for Mr. Billy B. So take that for how you want. But how y'all doing today? What's up? How you doing? Says David. David, I'm doing well. Best captain for single entry. Struggling here. Yeah, we'll talk through it today. We'll talk through it. We're not going to dive right into that. There's definitely some options, and it's probably going to be, it's going to be like a quarterback type of a slate unless you want to take a risk on some of the defenses. But there's some wide receivers. There's some really nicely priced wide receivers. Guys who will have low ownership. I think Emmanuel Sanders, Jacoby Myers, these guys stand out as some captain options that not a lot of people will go to. Operating on the outside, though, which is going to give you the risk in a bad weather game as opposed to like a Cole Beasley in the slot, but a little bit less upside on Cole Beasley to be a captain unless he's scoring multiple touchdowns. We're big time live. Big Dollar Rooskies. Best props, says Jeremy. Yeah, so I only took the props from this morning. I figured we talked through some of the other props on the stream. Props are difficult today. Like, I took these props in the morning, and obviously the wind and all this shit has only gotten worse throughout the day. I feel fine about the Cole Beasley 26.5. I mean, they're still going to fucking throw the ball. Like, even in a really bad wind game, Josh Allen's going to push towards 30 pass attempts, 25, 30 pass attempts. So Cole Beasley, I feel fine. The Nelson Aguilar 18.5 is one I don't feel fine on, even though he's clearing this number in plenty of the games because he's operating on the outside a lot. Josh Allen is in 100% of my lineups, says Lartar McGar. What a name. Yeah, I mean, Josh Allen's a fine play. He's my highest projected play. I think he is the first player on this slate. If you ask me one guy that will be in the winning lineup, I would say Josh Allen. I mean, the ownership is going to be there to an extent, but yeah, Josh Allen looks solid. Great shirt, Sal. Would you play both patch running backs in single entry? Thanks, man. I'm not going to go to both patch running backs. I'm kind of off of Damian Harris. I'm trying to find the angle as to where Damian Harris is a good leverage play tonight. But in single entry, it's hard for me to get there because, I mean, look, Ramondre Stevenson is low owned as well, and he's $4,000 cheaper, right? Like, Ramondre Stevenson is going to see just as many touches more than likely tonight as Damian Harris, and he's $4,000 cheaper. So, like, and the ownership is similar. It's not like Stevenson is coming in 50% owned. I have Ramondre Stevenson at 32% ownership to Damian Harris 28%, right? So, like, I'm trying to find the angle to where Damian Harris makes sense as a leverage play. It's just not there if the ownership is going to remain on both of them. So it's similar ownership for $4,000 less and a pretty similar touch projection. I have Ramondre Stevenson for 10 touches and Damian Harris for 14 touches, right? Those extra 4 touches ain't worth $4,000. $1,000 per touch ain't worth it, right? So I'm trying to find the narrative where Damian Harris works out for us. And you can tell yourself the narrative. You can tell yourself, oh, he scores 2 touchdowns tonight. Yeah, but like before the slate starts, right? With the information we currently have. Because I could also tell you Ramondre Stevenson scores 2 touchdowns. That's not a good narrative, right? The narrative of him scoring 2 touchdowns would make sense if he was lower owned. I'm just trying to find it. I'm not having a good shot finding it. My DFS got locked, bruh. Oh no, that's sad. Josh Allen and a wide receiver and a running back, then Mack, a running back and a wide receiver. All right. Locking the Buffalo defense as captain. Yeah, defense in the captain spot I think is going to be over-owned tonight. The more that I'm looking at it, the less that I'm liking it. This morning I thought that the defenses in the captain spots would be solid. Obviously, they start with 10 points. If the game stays low scoring, they'll keep those. But Mac Jones not making a lot of mistakes this year. Josh Allen has been making mistakes, which is where your upside might come in from New England. New England, though, not generating the craziest of pass rush to try and force those mistakes out of him. And he's also been a little bit more, likely and able, if you will, with Dawson Knox back and Cole Beasley healthier, right? There was about a 2 or 3 week span where he wasn't healthy with those ribs. He's now taking those checkdowns more often. So defense in the captain, I think, is going to be a little bit over-owned tonight because of this weather. Like, the defense in the captain spot needs to score touchdowns to win. Like, it's as simple as that. Like, they need to score a defensive touchdown. Mac Jones is as safe as they come, not throwing downfield much. And if Josh Allen has these underneath security options, I don't think you get as much risk there. So, yes, wonky things can happen, but I do think that captain defense, although it makes some sense, just like you're saying, more people today are going to ask me about defense in the captain spot, which naturally is making them a worse play because more, like, if a defense in the captain is like 8% owned tonight, or God forbid 10% owned, that's ridiculous. Like, that's massively over-owned. Harris leverage because a lot of people are leaning Stevenson because of the price. Yeah, that's just not true. Like, JP, I would think that. You probably think that. You're paying attention. You're a smart DFS player, smart fantasy player. I'm just telling you that that's not happening. Like, we're getting a leverage spot on Stevenson. I have Stevenson at 32% ownership today and Damian Harris at 28%. So the thought process that Stevenson is going to be like higher owned by a massive amount, it's just not there. Like, Stevenson is a way better play for DFS than Damian Harris today. When you factor in this price tag, same ownership, $4,000 difference for like a very fucking similar role. Like, Stevenson's going to play 30 to 35% of the snaps. Harris is going to play like 45% of the snaps, and they're going to see like a 3-touch difference. With the weather, would an RB be a good move at captain in a single entry? I mean, meh. I mean, RB in the captain spot, especially when both these backfields are pretty evenly split, and you have a mobile quarterback in Josh Allen for like the Devin Singletary. Like, I'm not going to go Matt Breida captain. Like, I think your captain options at RB would be Stevenson or Singletary. I don't really want either. I just think the ceilings are pretty low there. I mean, even if they run like an extra 5 times tonight, because of the wind, like, I mean, if you get an extra 5 carries from a running back, that would be a lot because of the weather. A lot. I mean, that's not really exciting me to put them in the captain spot. Good evening, Sal. Good evening, universe. I would say that Singletary would be the one if I wanted to, just because of the cheaper price tag. But it's not that enticing. Like, if there was actual good running backs on this slate, like guys that were like, you know, like the top 5, top 10 guys in the league, then we're talking about something, but we're talking about guys that are in split backfields. I need Knox to get me 10 points for my fantasy league. Let's make some money tonight. Hey, best of luck, Doug. I got Knox for about 8.5 points. So, I mean, it's basically like a coin flip if he gets there or not. The Bills have to move the ball by running it, which they have no run game. Can't kick field goals because it's going to be windy as fuck, and half of them will go in. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't understand why they can't move the ball, throwing it 5 yards, 10 yards to Steph Diggs, Cole Beasley, and Dawson Knox. Sal, you're an absolute G. No, you're an absolute G. Sal, I'm late, bro. What did I miss? You didn't miss anything. You're getting in at the perfect time. My man, Steven, the perfect time. Devin Singletary or Dawson Knox today. I mean, factoring in, if you're just asking me to, I'm starting my lineup with one of Devin Singletary or Dawson Knox. I'm going to start with Devin Singletary. A little bit of a price discount. Yeah, I'll go Devin Singletary. Knox obviously has that touchdown upside, but I think Singletary 70% of the snaps in the last game. If Zach Moss is active, which we'll find out in about a half hour, or if he's inactive, we'll find out in about a half hour, it makes me like it a little bit more. I got 10th in the play action on DK. Your videos help. Thanks. Yeah, this was a big week. This was a big week for all the Patrons. Big week for a lot of you watching this. If you're not a Patron, big week for myself. Biggest week that we've had in about 4 weeks on DFS. Yeah, it was a great week. The Justin Jefferson leverage plays. The Cooper Kupp remaining as the best play on the slate. The number one leverage play on the entire slate, George Kittle. Miles Sanders being the proper play off of Jamal Williams and his terrible chalk when the better running backs opened up. Sticking with Sony Michel, as all the reports were saying, Darrell Henderson was likely not to touch much the ball at all, and he didn't. We had a good week. The Bills, Justin Herbert, and Tampa Bay, the obvious stacks got there, but then also I went Gardner Minshew in single entry for the cheap quarterback, and it ended up working out just enough in the first half. After watching Schefter's live tweet from Buffalo, I'm very concerned about scoring. Yeah. I mean, I've been watching. The live tweets are coming in all day. It looks terrible. The wind gusts will be there all night. Yeah, the weather is going to be a factor tonight. The Vegas total is dropping all weekend, all week long. If you were on it earlier in the week and you saw that this weather was going to come in and you're familiar with the weather systems and that it would be legitimate, you got yourself a lovely bet tonight because this Vegas total has dropped even since this morning. Look at this. 8 points. This is the game tonight. The game opened at a 48 implied total. It is now down to 40. It has dropped 8 points. It's dropped an additional point since this morning. A 40 implied game total is insane. It's insanely low. You never see this unless there is weather. Like, even the worst NFL teams are getting 43, like, playing each other. Like, you get the two worst teams playing each other, it's still like a 43-point total, maybe 44. A 40-point total is bad. You're going to see some bad football tonight because of the weather. Yeah, the weather is a massive factor. Like, I am Sally don't care about the weather Vetri until, and I always put the caveat, until the Vegas odds change. When the Vegas odds change, that means people are hitting the under who have a lot of money and who are influential. How much did you profit this week in total across props and DFS? Mainly the profit came from DFS. That's where most of my entries are. If I play like I played like $4,700 or whatever this week in DFS, and like $4,000 of that, or $4,700 overall, like $4,000 of that was DFS, like 700 props. We profited just a shade under $9,000 Rooskies. I was scared for Kupp. Didn't he have like zero even in the second? He caught his first pass with 2 minutes left in the first half. Yeah, I never really got worried about Kupp. Yeah, I guess I never really got worried because they were getting anything they wanted. It was just a matter of time. Bolden or Nelson? I'll take Aguilar. Definitely going to be over 40. All right, sounds good. DraftKings needs to allow punters to get some points. No, that'd be terrible. They need to get rid of kickers to begin with on these showdowns. Yeah. Diggs low owned because of the weather. I think Diggs will be relatively, like all like these stud pass catching options are going to be relatively low owned today. Now let's get this right. Low owned in terms of low ownership. No, I have Diggs projecting out for like 60% ownership. Low owned in terms of what he would usually be owned on a slate like this. Diggs should usually on a slate like this. I think that Diggs is normally like 70% owned. So I think he's going to be slightly under owned today. That being said, he's still going to be owned. The best captain for a small field single entry. If you're in small field single entries today, I think your best captains are the quarterbacks, and I would lean Josh Allen if you can, if it's a small field single entry. In general, the quarterbacks will look good. Once you start getting into those Millie Maker type builds, I think that's where guys like Emmanuel Sanders, Jacoby Myers, possibly Devin Singletary, but I would stick to Emmanuel Sanders and Jacoby Myers more there. That's where those guys in like your Millie Maker type builds start to become more in play. Still not my favorite captain options. I'm running 5 captains tonight in 150s. Currently, those guys are Josh Allen, Steph Diggs, Mac Jones, Jacoby Myers, and Emmanuel Sanders. I think the defenses are going to be over-owned in the captain spot today. It's fine to go to them. I just think they're going to be double the ownership that they should be because of the weather. You won me $1,500 yesterday. Chase catches that pass would have helped out a little bit more. Yeah, if Jamar Chase catches that 90-plus yard touchdown, I'm sitting here right now with probably $90,000 in profit instead of $9,000 from yesterday. 90-yard touchdown just dropped straight in his fucking hands. And it actually wasn't a drop. It was an interception. Or was it it was an interception, incomplete pass. I think it bobbled off of his hands, and I think it ended up getting picked, right? Fucking crazy. Is Diggs leverage captain with the weather? Slight leverage on Diggs today. Nothing crazy because he's still going to be owned, but slight leverage on Diggs today. I think he's one of the best captain options. Yeah, I mean Diggs is highly involved. Even if Bill Belichick is able to quote unquote take him away with the personnel that he does not have to take away Stephon Diggs. By the way, nobody can take him away. Marshall Lattimore got toasted by Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs is in the Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams class of wide receivers who don't get taken away. You don't double cover receivers these days. Diggs will be able to do what he wants, right? To an extent because of the weather. So, yeah, I mean, the price tag right now on Diggs at $10,600 is completely fair for what he's been doing. I mean, 15-plus fantasy points in like 6 straight games and every game but 2 this year. Didn't know Minshew could make me money on DFS, right? Yeah, exactly. No interest in Beasley in the captain spot. I'm not getting there at the price tag right now. I'm personally not getting there at the price tag right now. I think he's in play, of course. Any of these receivers are, but I'm not getting there. I feel for them out in this ugly weather. Yeah, man, that's terrible. Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said tonight about the kickers being solid plays. As I say that, obviously the weather is not looking great, but you have to think about this from a game theory standpoint. The kickers kicking a 30 or 20-yard field goal tonight probably ain't going to be all that affected. Oh, but Sal, I watched a video of the wind gust earlier and it was shaking the field goal post. All right. I mean, I get the massive wind gusts are what you're going to be getting caught on camera. The 10 minutes in between when the two people took the videos of the massive wind gusts, it might be windy, but I don't know if it's going to be 50 miles per hour the entire fucking game. So there's a chance that if this game tonight, there's a real chance that this game tonight could be one of those 16-10 games where there's 4 total field goals kicked and 2 touchdowns or 1 touchdown, right? So you have to keep that in mind as well. Like in low-scoring games, field goal kickers are usually actually better plays, usually than higher. Like people get this confused. In high total games, people think field goal kickers are better plays. it's usually low-scoring games that they're better plays because it means there's less touchdowns, which means the kickers and their 7 points that they score are actually more viable. I get it. I understand that there's crazy wind out there. I completely understand that. But I do think that it's going to make people jump onto the defenses, and that's fine to an extent. And I think it's going to make people hop off of the kickers in that price range, which as of right now is making the kickers not insanely good plays, but solid. Like the kickers are in play tonight, right? They're in play instead of not being in play because they're going to be insanely underowned. Like normally kickers are like 25% owned on these slates, 20 or 25% owned. Tonight it's going to be like 12 and 15% owned. Like you need to find, we talk about leverage plays, how Jamar Chase and Miles Sanders and Rob Gronkowski and Justin Jefferson were leverage plays yesterday. There's going to be like a dozen leverage plays on a main slate. On a showdown slate, you're lucky to have like one good leverage play, maybe like 3 or 4 average leverage plays. That one good leverage play tonight, I think, is Ramondre Stevenson. I'm looking at this right now. I think like other guys who are okay leverage plays start to become like Emmanuel Sanders, Nelson Aguilar to an extent. But that's what I'm thinking. I think the one good leverage play tonight is Ramondre Stevenson, if I could look at this correctly, if everything I'm seeing is right. Yeah. Any interest in N'Keal Harry? Yep, he's a cheap player. He's in play. Yep. Sal, we meeting at Lavaca next Sunday. Naked tacos. I'm normal, moderately handsome, says Miguel Cracker. I mean, my man's name is Miguel Cracker, and he's approaching me with the moderately handsome, I'm normal, tacos. Yes, it's a date. Of course. Nothing seems fishy there. Yes, of course. But no, next Sunday is the girlfriend's B-day, so I will not be there. No. With the short game now, the game script, wouldn't Bolden be more in play? Nothing really changes for Bolden for me. I think I have him for a 27% snap share. I mean, they're 3-point underdogs. Bolden's usually on the field on third down situations of third and mid to long, like 3rd and 7 to longer, 2-minute drills. So nothing really changes for me. I mean, if the game gets out of hand and Buffalo's taking a big lead, they're up 10, then Bolden maybe comes on a little bit more. But I expect Bolden to see his similar role. Similar role of 12 to 15 routes run, 0 to 1 carries on the ground. RB slot and tight end with high wind. Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense game plan wise if it's actually going to factor in. What captains do you like for a 5 max on FanDuel? Yeah, I don't know FanDuel's salaries. The captains that are in play. Yeah, I don't know FanDuel salaries. Touchdowns matter more on FanDuel, right? So I mean, Ramondre Stevenson would be a little bit more of a play on FanDuel. Obviously, the quarterbacks are in play there. If you had to choose over or under, I would at this point take the over, but I have no bet on this game. The total coming down 8 points, I'd wait till the last second and hit the over because it's only going to continue to come down, and you hope for an overreaction. But if you're betting NFL games an hour or 2 hours before they lock, you're just never going to win long term. So I would actually not bet it. Like if I was at the counter, I would not bet this game because you're literally just coin flipping at this point. There's no edge left in that line. The only thing you have going for you is the line has moved so much you maybe hope that they're overcorrecting for it, and you just hit the over the other way. My man David Laz gets fits up in the chat. He donates $100 roosties to the stream. He says, "Hey Sal, thanks for the Kittle. Finished second in the luxury box for $30,000 rooskies. 7th in the 4th down for $25K and 2nd in the $85K playmaker for $10K." So my man Laz yesterday, at least from what he's just saying, made about $75K. He says, "Thanks for the Kittle." My man Laz, nice work. Yeah, Kittle was great. Kittle was great last week. It was the ultimate concoction of everything working out perfect for Kittle, and then obviously the performance just smashed all my expectations. I was happy with his beginning performance of having like 18 points. I was like, great, the leverage play worked. And then the man went for this crazy catch down the sideline, and he pops off, right? I mean, everything worked. Not only were we talking about it on the Sunday live stream and on that one, dude, for free, we had like the tools on Patreon, so everybody can see exactly how it was making sense, especially if you were a Patreon. But the Kittle stuff just made too much sense. There's no Deebo Samuel. Kittle himself had been playing completely fine all year, coming off of a bad game, so naturally people are going to shy away. Again, no Deebo Samuel with his 30+% target share. And matchup was the number 3 matchup of the entire season for a tight end. Not that week, the entire season for George Kittle against that Seattle linebacking core. And, not to mention, everybody was playing the low-owned tight ends. Everybody and their mother was playing Foster, Moreau. They want to play that dude. Literally no athletic measures. They want to play that dude, right? And James O'Shaughnessy, who I thought James O'Shaughnessy was a better play because he was actually leverage off Foster Moreau. Like Foster Moreau being 30 to 35% owned in so many contests yesterday. If you played Foster Moreau yesterday, I don't know. Like the same exact play was James O'Shaughnessy for half the ownership. I mean, if you wanted to go cheap, that's the way. But it was the perfect concoction, right? Appreciate the super chat of $100 though. But awesome day for you, Laz. Yeah, yesterday, if you are a good DFS player, it seemed like everybody who was a good DFS player won yesterday. Like all the pros up top the leaderboards. My man Laz was crushing yesterday. If you're somebody who does well at DFS, or you think you might have like a little bit of an edge, you play contrarian in a good way, yesterday was the ultimate day. It was the ultimate day with the Kittle, with the Miles Sanders, with the Justin Jefferson, right? With the double stacks with Mike Williams of the Chargers. That guy wants to take your tacos. Come on, bro. Sal loves chili and steak, not tacos. Chili and steak. But I appreciate that, Laz. Appreciate you. Jason says, thanks for the win. Keep killing it, Sal. Hey, $20 super chat. We love it. We love it. We love it. I appreciate you. A big Ramondre night. Yeah, I think Ramondre is the best leverage play in the slate right now. There's some other good leverage plays tonight. Like I think you're gonna, if you factor in the ceiling, Stephon Diggs is going to become a decent leverage play. But that said, a lot of ownership already coming in on him. Jacoby Myers is a solid leverage play at that price point. That's a nice price range in general. But I think Ramondre is probably the best leverage play. I mean, the dude probably touches the ball 10 times tonight, which is not a lot. But if you're getting 10 touches from Ramondre Stevenson at 30% ownership, I think it's fine. Sal, Bourne or Beasley? My last spot, I'll go Beasley. Am I the only one smashing New England defense? Allen has been throwing picks left and right, and it's going to be windy as hell. Yeah, I think New England and Buffalo defense are both in play. Yeah, both are in play. Yep, I prefer the Bills defense tonight, but both are in play. Minshew did good for me, yeah, and he only really played one half. The whole fourth quarter, they handed the ball off. In the third quarter, he just had stall drives ending field goals. Sal, obviously leverage is important, but do you think it's even more important on showdowns? Yeah, the problem is you don't usually have much of it. Yeah, leverage is always important. The problem is I mean, showdown slates in general, they're not good slates to play if you're trying to win money, right? They're largely entertainment purposes, right? You're not going to find most of the pros in DFS aren't going to be putting a lot into showdowns. Right? A lot of guys will just skip this slate. They'll skip most showdown slates. Why is that? Because there's not much leverage. Leverage matters so much. It's the only fucking thing that matters in DFS tournaments these days is how much leverage you can get on the field. That's it. That's it. From playing low-owned plays who have similar upside to the high-owned plays because you can identify them and the field can't for whatever emotional reasons or whatever strategic reasons or just being able to build better projections, ownership, all that stuff, right? So leverage is all that matters. The problem is on an 11-game slate, you might have one good leverage play per game. So like 11, 12 leverage plays in the slate that are good. Whereas on a showdown slate, you might have one leverage play. So like that's the problem. It becomes more important to identify who that one guy is, but it's also really easy to get it wrong because it's one game. You don't have a basket of 12 leverage plays to choose from, right? You have a basket of maybe one. And tonight there's like 4 leverage plays, but a lot of them are usually showdown slates. The leverage plays are the good plays already. It's like people are under owning Josh Allen, right? So you're not getting like the same leverage as you would on a main slate where a guy's like 3% owned and pops off, right? Like Miles Sanders is 3% owned. George Kittle is 3% owned in a lot of contests yesterday I saw. The leverage plays that I do see tonight are the good plays. It's like, yeah, Josh Allen, Steph Diggs, no shit, Sal. But I do think that Ramondre Stevenson, Emmanuel Sanders, Nelson Aguilar, these names, Jacoby Myers to an extent, these names offer some other leverage. But again, it's a showdown slate, so it's hard to really actualize that leverage because even your leverage plays are like 35% owned. I play Gronk and Kittle's hit. I asked you and you told me you don't play double tight ends. It just made too much sense yesterday to do it. Yeah, I don't play double tight ends because all the slates that it makes too much sense to do it, you hit 1 out of 20 of them, right? If that. So I personally just don't play double tight ends. I mean, Gronk didn't even have that great of a game. He found the end zone, right? That catch and run is kind of all that did it. But yeah, I don't play double tight ends. The problem with playing double tight ends is at Gronk's price point was a leverage play. Gronk, by the way, was like 12% owned. At his same exact price point was a leverage play across positions, which would have gone in the flex anyways, in Miles Sanders. Sony Michel was cheaper. Sanders for low ownership. There was multiple wide receivers in that price range for Gronk. So that's the problem. Like I will take the wide receivers and the running backs who are similarly projected and lower owned than Gronk. Like Gronk to me yesterday was just a fine play, mainly in Tampa Bay stacks. If you weren't playing Tampa Bay stacks, it didn't make much sense to knock it up to Kittle, in my opinion. Thanks for the community prize picks yesterday. Winner, chicken dinner. Yeah, Miles Sanders and George Kittle. They both did that in like the first half. Sal, the weather looks incredibly ugly tonight. I'm looking to fade all wide receivers for both teams. Only looking to play quarterbacks, running backs, tight ends, and defenses. Thoughts on this? Yeah, I'm not looking to fade all wide receivers. I think that's an overcorrection. The weather looks bad. I think the quarterbacks are in play. I think the defenses are in play. I think the running backs are in play, but I don't see the reason to fade wide receivers. If you're gonna be playing tight ends, I don't know why you're not playing wide receivers. Like all wide receivers are lucky to get 2 deep targets in a game of 20 plus yards. Most of the targets a wide receiver gets, and that's why most wide receivers yards per receptions are like 10 to 13. Most of them are like 7 to 10 yard passes. So there's no reason to automatically check off all the wide receivers tonight especially if your logic is that you're fine playing tight ends. Tight ends and wide receivers, a lot of the time, I mean, they're both running 5 to 10 yards down the field. And you also have to keep in mind, this is something that not a lot of people keep in mind. It's something that a lot of people mess up in season-long drafts, is that they just don't assume that like coaches and players are human beings that can sit at a table and develop a game plan. They think whatever happened last year is going to be copied to this year. Whatever happened last week for the Bills in this season is copied to this week. No, like if the Bills have known for the past 5 to 6 days that there's going to be bad weather, they probably got at some point into a practice and into a meeting and said, hey, Josh, to the quarterback, Allen, this is what we're going to do. We're going to use Stephon a little bit more, 10, 15% more in the slot, right? So you can take advantage of him there since the weather is neutralizing his outside game a little bit since we can't get him the ball there because of these wind gusts. So we're going to move him into the slot a little bit more. And Stephon Diggs in the slot might be the most dangerous weapon in the NFL. I'm sorry. Like Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, Keenan Allen in the slot, those are guys that compare. But Tyreek Hill to an extent. So that's why I'm not too concerned. Like the weather is still a major factor. It's going to hurt kickers. It's going to hurt the overall scoring of this game. It does not automatically eliminate quarterbacks and wide receivers from the player pool tonight because just like we know the weather is going to be a factor, so do those coaches and the players. Like if you've ever played flag football, high school football, whatever it might be, any type of actual football where you're playing with a team, you adjust, right? And when you have 5 or 6 days to adjust, I don't think they're going to say, hey, Stephon, just keep running your seam routes. Run your 15 seam routes you're going to run today because those are pointless plays now, right? So those get transitioned into curls, into slants, into motions into the slot, into end arounds. So I think that we're going to see a lower scoring game tonight, but still involvement, still an 8, 9, 10 target game for Stephon Diggs, right? So I wouldn't completely write it off. And that being said, everybody is dealing with the same weather conditions. So like if you're just like, I don't want to play Steph Diggs, he's expensive. Yeah, but Jacoby Myers is $7,000. He's dealing with the same conditions. So his normal baseline should drop as well, if that makes sense. How do I join the Discord community? Does access come through Patreon? Steve Smith, yes, it does. Discord is only for Patreon members. I used to have a Discord 2 years ago or so for everybody, and it got too messy. When you open up a Discord for just Patreon, you get all these like bots in there, like promoting weird shit, and I was like, this is stupid. If you want to get into Discord, you become a Patreon member. So there's a little bit of a barrier to entry there. So we actually get people who are trying to have a knowledgeable sports-related discussions, strategy-related discussions, things like that. Actually harvest a positive community. You like Myers in the captain spot? I think he's one of the options, yeah. Yesterday was my first time playing Classic. You saw, and I won 4 digits off a $200 bet. 4 digits. That means the thousands of dollar-rooskies for my man Chase. I saw that on Twitter. Nice job. I use Sal's info to help. I don't take it to heart, though. Plus, his shirts are styling. I appreciate you, my man. I appreciate you. That's exactly what you should do. If you're looking for some info, I'm trying. That's the whole reason I'm here, is to provide information, as much unbiased data as I can. Just translate that information to all of you. Try and do it in a somewhat entertaining way, an engaging way through these live streams. So I appreciate you. I'm scared to fade the defenses. Yeah, I think they're fine to play. Can we talk about the cheap plays under 3K today? Let's pull them up. Let's pull them up, boss man. Let's pull them up, my man Powell. So hopefully you're having a lovely day. Under 3K are these plays on the slate right now. Well, let's just have these guys on the screen. So under 3K. Under 3K, not counting Nelson Aguilar. I mean, your only options, we'll see what Zach Moss's status is in 20 minutes. Your only options are going to be Jonnu Smith or Gabe Davis to me. I mean, N'Keal Harry's going to maybe run 2 routes. He's not a slot receiver, right, for the weather. Isaiah McKenzie, you might see a little bit more creativity with Isaiah McKenzie today, but that might be 2 touches instead of 0. So Gabe Davis and Jonnu Smith. Now, the problem for Gabe Davis is he only plays on 4 wide receiver sets, which I don't know how much we're going to see of that tonight. Primarily 4 wide receiver sets, I should say. And when he does, he plays on the outside, right? So Gabe Davis becomes, at $1,200, he's still what he is. But when he sees 3 targets in a game, 2 of them might be deep targets. Those are not as valuable tonight because of the obvious weather conditions and the game plan likely changing. So I do think the best play under $3,000 has now gone from Gabe Davis this morning to, with the weather only getting worse and the total only dropping more, I think that Jonnu Smith is probably the best play below $3,000 today if you are looking down there. Hopefully that helps Powens and whoever else was interested in that question. Prize Picks has Mac Jones at 3.5 rushing yards. That should be an easy over, correct? Easy over. If it was an easy over, I don't know if they put it up unless it's a promo, but let's pull it up. Let's pull up the board, the rush yards here. 3.5 rush yards. I mean, Josh Allen's at 31.5. That seems kind of nice. So let's pull up these rush yards. It's tough for like the quarterbacks and Mac Jones because it's literally usually one play. So it's going to be a no bet for me. Let's see what else we have here. Yeah, man, I think I'm going to take a stand on Ramondre Stevenson, guys. I think we're going to do it. Over 38.5 rushing yards. We have to find something to pair it with, but I think Ramondre Stevenson is just a solid play today. I think he gets 10 touches, and if he's getting 10 touches, we just have to hope that he averages 4 yards per carry. And That's basically what we're betting on tonight, right? The Patriots, their offensive line, that has been fantastic. I mean, literally might have an MVP type player on their offensive line in Trent Brown, and how he's just literally throwing people around that is 380 pounds or whatever the fuck he weighs. A monster of a man. So here we go. Let's build a community prop. I want Stevenson's over rushing yards tonight. I think that's probably my favorite number right now from a rushing yards department. So I'm liking that. Do we go back to the well with one of these Cole Beasley receiving yard numbers? I mean, the Cole Beasley receiving yard number seems so low at 26.5. Do you guys want to pair? You let me know in the chat. We're building a community prop here. I like Stevenson. I'm gonna choose Stevenson. Now you guys pick one. And if I think it's actually, I'm not gonna just throw my money away, but you guys pick one. Do you like the Cole Beasley? I already have the 26.5. Do we double down? Nelson Aguilar's has dropped to 16.5. You guys let me know in the chat. I've been a Patreon for a while and never used the Discord. How do you access it? Old person question. What's going on, Flash by Night? Reach out to me on the Patreon messages, but I can drop a link right here as long as you've linked your account. I'll drop a link to the Discord. It doesn't matter if you're watching this and you're not a Patreon, you won't have access, so you can try and get in, but you won't. It reads to see if you're a Patreon first. So there's the link to it. My man Robert Norris with a $5 super chat. He says Sal is fire. 50 miles an hour wins both defense and all the running backs, both defense at captain. Who are your favorite captains? Favorite punt plays? The wind is bad. The defenses are going to be overowned in the captain spot. My favorite captains are the quarterbacks, Steph Diggs, in smaller field stuffs, and then in larger field stuffs is where Emmanuel Sanders and Jacoby Myers start to come and play. Stevenson, I might warm up to a little bit more. Stevenson captain, I might warm up to a little bit more. You need to refresh. Props updated, Sal. Oh, have they updated? If they've updated, does that mean we got a worse number on? Does that mean we got a worse number on the rushing yards prop? Because I hope not. What do we got? 40.5 now. We're getting worse numbers out here in the streets. Fuck. We need to definitely get something in. What do you guys want for the second prop? How much should we leave on the table? It depends on the contest you're playing in, my man Dean. How many people are in the contest, Dean? Since you super chatted, I'll let you get this follow up in there. How many people are in the contest you're trying to play in? If you're playing in a 200-person contest, you can get away with only leaving like $100 or $200 on the table if you're being unique somewhere in the lineup or in the captain spot. If you're playing in the Millie Maker tonight, I want to be leaving at least $700 to $1,000 on the table in every lineup. I wish I could use prize picks. My bookie has all these listed 7 yards over with the prize picks. Sad. If Diggs runs inside more, does that take away from Beasley? You would think so. I mean, you would think so. But that's just one hypothesis. Like, Diggs is not going to play 100% out of the slot today. Diggs might see his slot rate bump up by 10 to 15%. I mean, that's not going to make Beasley devastating of a play, though. I'm in $22 over Beasley, over Stevenson flex. Yeah, I might do it. Jonathan Smith over 13.5 receiving yards, says Cody Harris, is what he wants to ride or die on today. Okay. Over that number. I don't know about that. Well, why don't we do this? I mean, if we're going to take the over on Ramondre Stevenson, do we just naturally take the under? Do we just naturally take the under on Damian Harris as kind of like a correlation play together? Or the under on Mac Jones passing yards if we're going to go over? Do we try and correlate this? Oh, they're already low as shit. How about Beasley or Knox receptions? Yeah, I mean, what are the receptions on Beasley today? Is it at 4? It's at 3.5. Yeah, that's not terrible. I'd rather go with the yards on him, though. I think I'm gonna combine it with Beasley's yardage. I mean, 26.5. Dear God, if this man can't hit that, I mean, we've got some fucking issues. Throw our boy Sal some likes on this video. I appreciate you, Rob. 2 out of 3 on prize picks yesterday. Boom, boom. Chase Hunt on the over, 8 yards short. Yeah, Chase on the over was short because he dropped a 90-yard fucking touchdown, that fucking guy, man. Sal, Diggs is projected for only 4.5 catches. That seems nice, doesn't it? It does indeed seem nice, yes. Let's do that. I'd rather go down on my sword with Stephon Diggs than Cole Beasley, right? So let's go double overs on this weather game. How dare he? Let's power play it. And let's put $50 Rooskies on it. All right, so there's the community prop of the night. Oh, by the way, if you're wondering, this is Prize Picks. A lot of you already know because, you OGs here. But we're partnering with them. They're the number one partner on this program. $50 in right now. If you use the code SAL in the link in the description, prizepicks.com, code SAL will give you a free bet up to $100 for coming over from this here network and channel. So over 4.5 receptions, over 40.5 rushing yards for Ramondre. I like Ramondre tonight. We'll see what happens. I like Ramondre tonight. So there you go. There we go. Is Bolden playing? We will know in 17 minutes. I haven't projected in. Not going to lie, Cole Beasley still looks good at such low number. Yeah, I agree. No interest in Breida captain. Good goal line usage and believe they will run much more. No interest. The man played 30% of the snaps last week. Obviously, that can come up. But it's tough to like a dude who's overpriced and was clearly operating as the running back 2 last week. Like the running back 2 that is significantly more expensive than the running back 1 on his team. So no interest in the captain, no. Kendrick Bourne, 28.5 is way too low. Smash the over. Yeah, plays out of the slot, not bad. If you guys haven't already, I think the second half slates for Showdown are much more entertaining because the narrative is already built out and you can build. Yeah, I've had some success. I usually am not either up or paying enough attention to games in the second half because it's like 10 o'clock at night and it's my bedtime. Or 9 o'clock, whatever time, my bedtime. But yeah, the second half, I mean, yeah, you already have a narrative. So like if one team is blowing another team out, you have a built-in edge on like what to expect, but so does everybody else playing the slate. Sal Pal, have you done any takes on strategy for SuperDraft? I'm on a drought. I mean, the strategy on SuperDraft is just understanding how to build good projections over there. To an extent, understanding what ownership might be because of that. But for the most part, understanding good projections and taking the good projections and using the high multipliers. Like a lot of people will just take the best projected players and play them and not understand that guys who have lower projections by like 3 points, but a double the multiplier are actually solid plays for leverage. Dawson Knox or Hunter Henry? Knox for me. Henry not viable in the captain spot. A double touchdown game is what you're hoping for there. I'm not gonna bet on a double touchdown game from him though. Sal, what do you eat for dinner? I had Fazoli's chicken Alfredo. I haven't had anything for dinner yet. I don't even know what I'm going to eat. I have to go shopping. I have no food. Under on both quarterback yards. I do not have that prop in personally. I need to figure out. I have a list here of like the other top fantasy podcasts and or betting. I need to figure out how to get some guest spots on some of these. Whether it's CBS's new fantasy DFS show or fantasy football show, the early edge with CBS, PFF's show. PFF should do their own DFS show, potentially maybe even start that. Things like that. I need some challenge. With the NFL season coming down, I have my schedule so built in, like that I know what I'm doing when I'm doing it, so I get it all done. That it's just like it's almost like a hamster wheel at this point. The content, and I'm just not challenged at all. Like when I went on Pat Mayo, I put in like an extra 5 hours of work. I wanted to make sure that I was coming across very knowledgeable and entertaining. So that was a challenge. That was like a midweek thing, more work. It got me some adrenaline going. But it's been a month since then, and it's just not. There's not much challenge. It makes it difficult to have the same type of drive from a, I guess, enjoyment standpoint. This is my favorite part of the week is the streams, but I need some sort of challenge, whether it's guest appearances. There's a chance that a new network I'm going to launch at the beginning of January. I'm getting the stuff in order for it right now. A new network that will be a challenge and one that I've been wanting to do, and now I am financially stable to say goodbye with the everyday coverage of NBA. So that might be happening, and we might be covering another sport full-time in 2022. Obviously football as well. John Smith's low number is juicy, says Rich. Oh boy, juicy. Like a big old burger. I had a chicken Florentine sandwich from an Italian place yesterday. It was fucking lovely. That was juicy, I tell you that much. What's up, big dog? How Texas treating you? What up, boss man? It's treating me well. I like it here a lot. Yeah, not much complaints. They ain't got no mountains over here. I mean, people be telling me to go to Big Bend. It's fucking 7 hours away. I ain't going over there. Aguilar or Tyler Bass? I'll go Aguilar. Sal needs to square up against Al Z. Yeah, Al Zanenfeld seems like a good dude. If he ever opens the invite up, I'll go out there. Yo, Big Sal, you believe in Sanders? Emmanuel Sanders, I think he's a good leverage play today. He'll offer some leverage. Do I believe in him? I mean, I think large field tournaments, he's a captain option for you that will separate you. Sal covering MMA full-time 2022? No. I like MMA. I like watching MMA too much to make it a part of my job, if that makes sense. I love just chilling out on a Saturday night and not having to. I rarely play MMA DFS. I rarely bet on MMA. It's already built in stakes. Somebody's going to get the punch knocked the fuck out of them. The promotion for UFC is great, and the narratives and the personalities that these guys have built up are great. I don't need to bet on it. I like just sitting down, not having any emotional attachment from a financial standpoint, so I actually feel sad about the outcome. I like just enjoying the product, right? Like, at this point, I can't enjoy the NFL unless there's action on it. I feel like a lot of people, that's the same way because it's, relatively a boring fucking sport. You wait around for a minute for a guy to run 2 yards. You wait around for another minute for a guy to catch a 7-yard pass, right? For the most part, it's a boring sport if you cannot bet on it, right? I don't think that's a super hot take. Take your specific team you have emotional attachment, don't count them. If you had to watch this game tonight with no DFS, no prop betting, no betting on it, it would be boring, right? So MMA is not that for me, at least right now. The weather is fucked, correct. Sal, kickers aren't worth going to 3 max, right? If it's a small field tournament, I don't think you have to risk it with kickers. I do think that kickers are solid plays in like the Million Maker tonight because they will be massively underowned. NHL DFS projections, yes, please. No NHL, no. No for me. Harris over 6.5 receiving yards. A lock, Sal. Feel like they might run a couple of screens because of the weather. Let me see what I got on that for you, my man. So receiving yards, I have Damian Harris currently at 7.7 receiving yards. The golf DFS community will be excited to have you in January, says Jesse. Yeah, I think I'm going to be setting something up with golf. I mean, I've always covered golf, but it's always been like this, not half-hearted. Whenever I cover it, I put my all into it, like 6 hours of research for one video and then upload it to start the week. Maybe it's like closer to 4 hours. 6 seems extreme. But it's always difficult for golf when NFL starts back up, right? So I'm considering creating a totally separate YouTube channel, which is kind of annoying to start back from zero, just for golf stuff, so that everything that's getting fed in there is golf-based, can rank a little bit better, can have a totally different environment and kind of feel to the shows, instead of uploading a golf video and an NBA video and an NFL video all in the same day on one channel. And people watch the NFL one because that's what I'm known for, and then they don't watch the other ones, and then it's like, why did I just waste my time, right? So that's right now where my anxiety comes from, is trying to figure out what to do with that in 2022, because NBA is obviously, advertising and selling ads and things like that. Business-wise, it brings in money. The deciding factor is for me to figure out if I want to be covering both at the same time and whatever else. How about Aldo? Yeah, Josie Aldo. I mean, that's going to set up a great fight now in that division, just with what's all left now. Yeah. NHL is a 6 sport, Sal. Yeah, NHL playoffs are probably undefeated. Patreon sheets have been fire. Thank you, Sal. Thanks for the awesome Patreon data and morning show recordings. Secured some big dollar rooskies yesterday with your help, man. That's the goal, right? Your goal is to always identify the leverage plays. They don't always hit, right? 20% of the field wins. So you might as well take advantage of that when you do win by having low-owned guys, and you can not just finish 20% min cashing. You can finish top 1% or top 10%. So that's the goal. So yeah, there's going to be weeks when only 20% of the field wins a week. There's going to be 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 or 4 weeks in a row where you don't cash. I think the most I've gone without cashing is 2 weeks in a row this year. If that happens to you, that's fine. You're not going to cash every week. The goal is to maximize when you do cash. So this week, the amount of money that we made this week, and personally that I made, I can now lose 2 weeks in a row and still come out profiting those 3 weeks, right? I'm not going to try to lose 2 weeks in a row, but that's the whole point of it. That probably could be bad for your video too, your channel too, if people don't. Yeah, I mean, the ideal way, if you're a mid-sized to small YouTube creator, is to not be putting up a golf video and an NFL video on the same day, right? On the same channel. The ideal way, because it's 2 separate audiences usually. Now, there's going to be some crossover, but it's naturally 2 separate audiences. So YouTube is going to say, oh, this is a football channel. Let's recommend the golf video to these football people. And most of the football people are going to say, we don't give a fuck about golf, right? Whereas if it's on a new channel, everything that's being fed to the YouTube algorithm is golf betting, golf DFS, golf, and it shows it to people who like those things. The problem is now I start from 0 instead of the base that we have here. Sal, just one question. Knox or Beasley? Give me Mr. Beasley, Jose Morales. Jose Morales, isn't that a baseball player? Build the algorithm to subs. That makes sense to separate. Yep, I agree. It does. It makes sense to separate. Could be exciting to be humbled again to start at 0 and build up a whole new. That's the excitement part of it, right? I think you're onto something there, Zach. That's the part of it that gets me energized, right? Like right now, I'm on this hamster wheel, which, look, I love the job. I still like the NFL. Everything that I'm doing, I enjoy. I wouldn't be doing this if I wasn't. But I'm not actually challenged at this point. So that's the problem. You guys have jobs out there. If you feel like you're being stagnant or not challenged, it's annoying. So golf is probably, I mean, I like MMA the most. That's my favorite sport. But if you're talking about like to actually sit down and enjoy and bet on it, golf is probably my favorite sport. Turf science major in the past. It's just that golf is a totally separate thing in terms of being the growing sport in the space, has massive upside only in the initial stages. So now that I'm a little bit more financially secure and can get away with putting more effort into something that's not going to make money in probably like the first year or 6 months, it could be interesting. Big Sal fella, is it a bad idea to enter 10 different bets? Is it better to make 10 bets on the same league? Place of power, you want to expand on that? Do you mean lineups? 10 different lineups? Yeah, if you're playing in a contest, don't put 10 of the same lineup into that contest. Yeah. Do more with Rick Run Good. Killed it last time you did. Yeah, I like Rick a lot. I was listening today to his Business of Fantasy Football. I hit him up and said it was a good thing. Yeah, I mean, Rick's just like the superstar in the space from that standpoint, right? I mean, whenever the time comes for a golf red zone channel, Rick and Pat are going to be the hosts for that shit because, I mean, they're great, right? They're awesome. Yeah, Rick's cool. Can you pull up the yes/no sheets? MTV Jake says. MTV Jake. Yeah, I got you, boss man. We'll start up top for you. Let me know when you want me to scroll. I'll subscribe to your golf channel. Yeah, I mean, the golf channel it will be up soon. I currently have my graphic designer guy making some, like a logo and a backdrop for YouTube for it. And then the goal is that starting in the Century Tournament of Champions, January 6th in 2022, that Monday, January 2nd, the goal is to start dropping some stuff there. I would like to start promoting it I'm hoping this week to get the golf stuff so I can put on the channel and start promoting it this week to give like a 2-week run up to promoting it, get a little bit of a base of subscribers in there and go from there. But yeah, man, I'm trying to feel challenged again. And to be completely honest with you, the NBA is just a drag. It's like a nonstop hamster wheel of having to know every single second of every day what's happening in the NBA. It really is a drag, whereas it's just like a breath of fresh air is golf. I enjoy the sport of golf more. Still like the NBA a lot. It's just content-wise, it can really drain somebody the fuck out. As of right now, I do plan to cover the NBA this final season once football is over, though. Because I'm very familiar with it, so I might as well, if I'm every day keeping up with the projections, might as well. Best SuperDraft plays. The best SuperDraft plays. Cole Beasley has a nice multiplier. Jacoby Myers. Some sneakier SuperDraft plays that have a good amount of upside, I would say, is Devin Singletary and Ramondre Stevenson. But like projection-wise, the quarterbacks, Steph Diggs, Cole Beasley, Jacoby Myers over there. If I would have faded Tyreek Hill and put Teddy in instead, I would have tied for first last night. Oh, man. It's always one away, right? It's always that one away. It always makes us feel like, God damn. Yeah, I hate that shit too. I'm going to do one final update in the background right now, so we're going to take off that sheet. I'll pull it back up momentarily. I'm going to do one update as I answer some questions of NBA. I'm going to run the model one more time for the NBA crowd over on Patreon. The updates will be coming in about 5 minutes, about 10 minutes before lock occurs, so just give it a second, and I will be updating as we go. Hey, man, I understand the drag and the Montana of anything. Happy you aren't complacent, bro. Drive is so important. Yeah, I talked about it with my girlfriend before the stream. The drive doesn't also have to come from work, and this is just for anybody out there. Like, just learning how to play golf better. Like, I want to put time into that. And being in Texas, year-round weather, I can actually go to the driving ranges in December and January, and they're not closed. Yeah, I mean, it could come from something like that, challenging myself in different ways, right? But right now, I feel pretty secure with where I'm at, relationship-wise, where I'm at, work-wise, that secure, and I just kind of want to challenge myself in different ways. So without being crazy. So I think like starting a brand new network surrounding golf, I mean, starting with myself, maybe bringing on other personalities that kind of fit the vibe, that could be something that's interesting to me and has long-term upside. I think there's no sport right now. There's two sports right now. If you started to cover them, like from a DFS and betting standpoint, you could be like a legit dude for a top network or have your own legit network within 5 years. Those two sports to me are golf and UFC, or golf and MMA in general. They're massively growing sports that are embracing betting, and they're just underreported compared to the big sports for obvious reasons. The big sports have more viewership and more interest, but the interest of the other sports that are in question here, golf and MMA, are pretty high. I also really like that Rick released an Ask Me Anything today, because I asked him a question. I saw that he answered it. I listened into the podcast that he does. If you're not familiar, Rick Run Good, check him out. I might start doing an Ask Me Anything during the off season, an AMA each week, like a mailbag. Where would you start for a min core and a 3-entry? Best captain in those. Love your stuff. If it's a small field, I'm leaning the quarterbacks or Steph Diggs as a captain. Probably the quarterbacks more so. If it's a small field. If it's a larger field, you can start to expand into like Ramondre Stevenson being an option, Emmanuel Sanders. Where would you start for a min core? Yeah, I don't do cores, my man. It really depends on the contest you're playing. So in my opinion, there's no specific these three guys you have to play in every lineup tonight. There's not. The one guy that I would start my lineups with is Josh Allen, maybe not in the captain spot, but just Josh Allen and go from there. Just because of secure projection, secure rushing floor. Like Josh Allen's rushing yards props tonight are like 35 yards. That's so damn valuable on a slate where this weather is so fucking wacky, right? Like getting 30 yards as like your prop, which starts to become like a projection, right? From the Vegas lines, and it's so damn valuable on a slate like this to just have those points kind of built in, especially when you're comparing it to like Mac Jones, whose rushing prop is 4 yards, right? Sam, my man, you are an inspiration, man. I'd be hella happy and find happiness in a ton too, especially with this 3-month-old. My wife and I have been married 4 years, dated 7 years before, and man, yeah, that shit is fire. Man, my man Chase is living the life. We love it. Congrats on the 3-year or 3-month-old. 3-month-old, damn. That thing came right out the oven, right? That thing's still warm from coming out the oven, that baby. God damn. Congrats on that, my man. Need them props, Sal. Yeah, we've been talking about the props throughout the stream. I am updating NBA right now. But yeah, we've been talking about the props throughout the stream. We'll cover them one more time before we say sayonara to all the beautiful people out there. NBA projections for all the beautiful people who have waited 10 minutes before lock. The final update is going out right now for all of you. Thanks for remaining patient. Both defenses and both quarterbacks a good play. Yeah, I mean, you're playing for a very specific script there. I think that will be something that is higher owned than usual tonight, so I'll probably avoid both defenses and both kickers because playing both defenses really limits your upside. But Sal, the weather, I understand that, but when everybody else is jumping to that lineups, it kind of cancels it out, if not makes it worse. So both defenses in both kickers both defenses and both quarterbacks in the same lineup, probably something I stay away from. I just think that there's a lot of capped upside there because if you're playing both kickers, you're hoping for field goals. And if you're hoping for field goals, your quarterbacks are not getting touchdowns. And if they're not getting touchdowns, it's hard for them to pay off their price tag. But if they are getting touchdowns, it's hard for the kickers in a windy game to pay off their price tags, right? So hopefully that all makes sense because playing both defenses and both kickers, I think is actually a way to cap your upside on a slate like this. You're hoping for a very specific outcome that too many people are probably going to try and also play for. Just because the weather is insanely bad does not automatically mean you got to play the defenses, right? They do look a little bit more appealing, but everybody else in the mother is also thinking that, especially when it's starting to go viral on Twitter, that this is the way to play the slate because the wind's so fucking crazy. Knox or Sanders in single entry. I'll go with Sanders. I'll play for the upside. Knox is the better play, wins you the slate more often, but Sanders is actually going to offer you leverage when Knox won't. So I'll go Sanders there. We're trying to secure some sort of leverage. There's barely any leverage on this slate. I'll go Sanders there. The optimizer for NBA is also updated, by the way, right now. This game is going to be a bust-em-up game if wind becomes a major factor. Drink and dunk all night. Drink and dunk? My man means dink or dunk, but drink or dunk all night might happen too out there. That'd be a good time. That'd be a hell of a time. How much Bolden are you getting right now? Good question. I'll pull up Bolden right here. I'm currently getting Brandon Bolden in 11% of my lineups. I'm getting about 40% Damian Harris or Ramondre Stevenson. I expect to be above the field on him. Sal, what has changed in your life since becoming financially stable? What has changed in my life? I guess nothing. I think that's a good thing. Nothing's changed. Same girlfriend, same family. I've made some new friends just from like joining and living in a new city. But I guess nothing. I guess I've had like better equipment, so investing back into the business, like that's like a legit change I can think about, like a tangible change. But yeah, nothing. I don't really buy many items, to be honest with you. I'll buy like food, like I'll try experiences, try out some food, try out maybe a trip here and there. But for the most part, I don't really buy items. I buy whatever I need for business. Other than that, I'll buy a couple of like new shirts. I've been doing that a little bit more. But I'm a pretty frugal man. That's just from like my upbringing and just sort of the content I listen to when I'm trying to get out of debt over the last couple of years, student debt. But I'm a pretty frugal man, so not much has changed, I would say. There's been changes just naturally, but not due to that. Any updates on Bolden and Moss? I don't know what the fuck just happened. I don't know if I just swallowed like 17 bugs at once. Holy shit. Yeah, I'm going to pull them out right now. Wow, this weather looks terrible. Holy shit. Guys, this weather is insane. Mac Jones is trying to throw 20-yard passes. Holy shit. That's crazy. All right, let's pull up the news. Is Zach Moss active today? Somebody's saying that he is. Is Zach Moss playing tonight? Let's see. Damn. Isaiah McKenzie is inactive tonight, so that's important to know. I believe Zach Moss, he's not on the inactives, but is he on the practice squad? Because if he's on the practice squad, it doesn't matter. So is Zach Moss active tonight? I'll pull it up. If Zach Moss is active, that does change some things. I'm really not too interested in either of those running backs, though, but let's see. Zach Moss is active tonight. Isaiah McKenzie is inactive tonight. So adjust your lineups accordingly. I'm going to update that right now. Zach Moss will definitely be under-owned tonight if that's appealing to you. If he's active, I assume he's going to get some touches. So that's going to make all those running backs even worse of plays, including Zach Moss will be the only one who actually starts to become looking like a somewhat interesting play. But Isaiah McKenzie is out. Zach Moss is in tonight. I'm going to update those projections after the stream. Zach Moss does, for the price tag of $600, if he's active, we don't know what the role is going to be. We don't know if it's going to be 10% or 40% of the snaps. So it does make him an interesting play. You got late news on a showdown slate. I think we take that into account. On a small field single entry, I'm not playing Zach Moss. If you're playing in the Millie Maker, Zach Moss just became an actual good play because he offers built-in leverage that wasn't there originally because he was projected for 0 points. So yes. I'll pull up the Patriots Inactives. Let's see. Patriots Inactives tonight. Nothing you need to worry about on offense at least. So yeah. Isaiah McKenzie is the only inactive that's worth mentioning. Otherwise, Zach Moss being active tonight, which I had somewhat of a feeling that he would be active. I wasn't completely positive on it, but there was some stuff about special team stuff that they needed help with last week to make him inactive. I mean, that's the second time he's been active this year, though, so who knows? So what's the minimum you're leaving on the table and maximum? Depends on how many people are in your contest. I'd be leaving at least $700 or more on the table in the Millie Maker tonight if that's your cup of tea. If you're playing in a small field single entry at 3 max, you could just leave like a couple hundred at most. Is Moss playing or no? He is playing. Yes, Zach Moss is playing. Zach Moss playing, yeah. Zach Moss becomes in play. I mean, it depends on the contest you're playing, but him being active tonight, if they were not planning on giving him a carry tonight, I think they would just make him inactive. So I expect Zach Moss to get some touches. That being said, he could easily see 4 touches. My projection on Zach Moss is probably going to be somewhere around like 4 to 5 fantasy points. It's not going to be a lot. But in the Millie Maker, when he's not going to be owned because the news just broke an hour ago, 4 to 5 fantasy points at $600 could be something for you. The irony of the guy we watch to get tips on wagering is frugal with his money. That's good, I think. Is there irony there? I mean, like I have a separate amount of money that I put aside, more so mentally, but there's like a money in a PayPal account. Yeah, I mean, when I won like 30 grand week 3 or 4, I don't have to put any of my income aside for any. I haven't had to deposit into sites. I mean, I deposit often just because I leave it in a PayPal or my bank account where I think is more secure than leaving it in DraftKings. That's just me. But like actually had to deposit from my own reserves, if you will, in like 2 years, 3 years. Any more info on the new football league? Yeah, the United States Football League, the USFL, is supposed to kick off in April. They have not done their draft yet. They probably won't for a couple of months, but I haven't looked up, to be honest with you, any new info. I follow them on Twitter, but they haven't really posted anything lately. So I don't know. Yeah. They haven't really posted anything lately, so I don't think there's anything new. Moss in large fields. Yeah, Moss in large fields is the only way he's in play. He's not a great play. I mean, he's just going to give you some leverage. Like, it's a 3-headed backfield where he is pretty clearly the third back in that backfield. That being said, though, you might get a goal line carry, right? Knox or Beasley, last piece. Beasley. I think people are overreacting with the weather. I still think the wide receivers will hit. Yeah, the wide receivers are completely fine tonight. They're not as fine as they would be, but everybody's on the same playing field there. Can you still throw for 10 to 15 yards possibly? Yeah. The weather looks really bad, but they're going to be able to complete 5 to 10 to 15-yard passes. It'll be more difficult, but yeah. Yo, Big Sal fella, would it be dumb to put Gabriel Davis at captain with Josh Allen stack? Yeah, I don't want Gabriel Davis in the captain personally. Myers or Bourne in cash? I'll go Myers. Just because of the price. Bourne, though, should see shorter targets out of the slot. I don't have Patreon. Do I get points if I play Aaron Rodgers? You do not, Chase. I'm sorry. No, you don't get that bonus offer, unfortunately. Bass or the Pats D? I'll go Pats D in smaller fields. Larger fields, it's a coin flip. I think that you'll see lower ownership on Bass, but the weather, I mean, the current weather right now looks absolutely fucking atrocious. What defines large field? It's subjective. I mean, it's all relative. The Millie Maker is 150,000 people. So if we're counting the Millie Maker, I mean, I think midfield tournaments are in like the thousands. Large field stuff is like 5,000 or more. But I mean, think about it. If there's 100 people in a contest, you have a 1% chance of winning if you're in there. If everybody's skill levels are the same, which they're not. But if there's 100 people in a contest and you put one lineup in, you have a 1% chance of winning. That's very low, right? So once you start playing in a 1,000-person contest, you have a 10th of a percentage of winning, 10,000, 100,000. So I personally think small field is anything below 1,000, ideally below 500. I love the content. Would you lock Allen into captain for 3 max and single entry? Small fields, I think Allen is probably your best captain option, but I am warming up to Ramondre Stevenson. You like the Pats D with Allen? Sure. Every time I wear my 49ers jersey, they lose. Oh, no. Prize picks under on both quarterbacks' passing yards. Yeah, if that's the angle you want to go to, I think it's fine. I don't have any props in the quarterback's passing yards. I added Ramondre Stevenson's over 40.5 rushing yards, and I added Diggs over 4.5 receptions. At work trying to get my picks in for tonight. What do you got for props? Yeah, the props are on the screen right now. Two of the props that I like outside of the ones in the video this morning. I think leaning unders makes sense, but a lot of these numbers are lower for a reason. They're already kind of baking in the weather. So, yeah. But, yeah, if you want to use the code SAL, you get a free bet up to $100 on Prize Picks. That's what the site is right here, prizepicks.com. You get a lovely board, by the way, to choose from. You can just scroll through this and find the props you like the most. It's very simple. You click on them, you pair them up, bada bing, bada bang. You use the code SAL, and you get a free $100 if it's your first time over there. Check it out. Especially if you're in a state like New York or Texas where it's not legal to bet on sports. This is indeed legal because it's fantasy point based. It's not betting based in the written of their language. There's a gray area there, if you will. They got him. They got him. What's up, Mr. Sal? Sleep schedule. What is Sal's sleep schedule like? Normally sleep from like 9:30 to 5:30, so usually get about 8 hours. 9:30 p.m. to 5:30 a.m. Beasley captain peppered with a low ADOT. So here's the thing with Beasley. Beasley captain is fine. I don't think it's a top 5 captain play tonight. Like, the low ADOT doesn't mean that he's a good captain option. Like, Beasley catching 6 passes for 40 yards tonight isn't going to do anything for you, right? So, like, the weather is bad. The low ADOT is nice because he'll get some receptions, but he needs the touchdown still. So, I'd rather just go to Jacoby Myers, who has a little bit of a higher ADOT and a higher target share on his team, and he's cheaper than Beasley, and they're similarly owned, right? Like, if you're in that price range looking for a captain, I'd rather just go to Jacoby Myers. Cheaper, higher ADOT, higher target share on his team. Currently coming in with like the same ownership. Playing in 150,000 people, who would be the best captain tonight? Yeah, you got to get different. If you're playing in 150,000 people, I mean, it's really hard to get away from the quarterbacks, even in that type of a contest, but you just got to get different. If you're playing one lineup in the Millie Maker tonight, I would go with like a Ramondre Stevenson or a Emmanuel Sanders type of a lineup build. I'd probably go Ramondre. Sal, tell them to use my code on Prize Picks. What are you doing? No, never, Chase. I got to try and stay in business somehow here. Business. How would you build in a 20-person field? Yeah, definitely Josh Allen. I play both quarterbacks. Josh Allen captain spot for the more mobile upside. 20-person field? Yeah, I would go both quarterbacks. I would go both defenses in a 20-person field and fill in the rest. Yeah. If it's a 20, normally I wouldn't say that. Like, if you're trying to actually win a GPP, I wouldn't consider a 20-person really that much of a GPP. So it's such a small field. So I would play it very fucking safe. No need to take risks. How do you predict ownership? Good question. It's a little bit of a trade secret, but there's a lot that goes into it. It's basically a formula. It involves a lot of stuff. Historical data, running the optimals out a bunch of different times with your projection set. In industry sentiment to an extent, which goes into historical data. There's a couple of variables. It's not a straightforward way. It took me about 2 to 2.5 years to understand how to even start to project ownership. So no straightforward way. The secret recipe will never be given out because that allows me to have an edge for my DFS and give an edge to the Patreon members. So if you are a Patreon member, you get the ownership. You don't have to worry about running the ownership multiple times a day /week / keeping all the data, right? Is Moss good for SuperDraft? Nah, the projection will be so low. The projection will be too low. I mean, Moss, you're mainly trying to bank a touchdown, right? Like, Moss, you're banking the touchdown, which there's a chance, right? There's a chance that Zach Moss has 3 carries for 8 yards and a touchdown tonight. Is Dawson Knox a good captain tonight? I'm gonna not go to Dawson Knox at the price tag in the captain spot. I prefer some other options personally. That's just me. You got to do what you got to do, but that's just me. Sal, thoughts on playing 2 running backs from the Bills and 1 from New England? Yeah, I don't think I'm going to play Singletary and Breida tonight together. If you're playing in the Millie Maker, I think you can get away with like a nah, I'm not going to do it. Like Singletary, Moss, and Stevenson, that's the type of build that makes the most sense to me in like the Millie Maker, but I still don't think I would do it. If Devontae Adams was dead, yes, Justin Jefferson is the best receiver. Yeah, I agree. I think it goes Adams and Jefferson as the 2 best receivers in the league. Do you code it yourself? Yeah, I mean, I have like the reserves of the data. Like I have a massive data reserve that I go to, which is a big piece of it. But yes, I code it myself. I mean, it's not really a code though. Like I'm not a coder. It's not much of a code. It's just understanding where to find the data and the resources and understanding how to put those resources together into more so an equation rather than a code. Do you have player stat projections on Patreon? For NBA, yes. For NFL, coming soon. Like the receptions and all that. For NBA, yes. And for golf, yes. For NFL, coming soon. That's probably something that I could actually work on. Thanks for the info. As always, due to the weather, do you think it's smart to play 2 running backs in both defenses single lineup? I think it's smart to build a lineup that makes sense to you. Both defenses is going to be massively more. Both defenses will be 5 times, if not 10 times, higher owned than it normally is. So that just makes it not as enticing to me because we know defenses have low ceilings. Like the defenses tonight, scoring If they don't score, if there's not a defensive touchdown tonight, the defenses are going to score like 6 to 8 points, 6 to 10 points. And that could be enough. They're decently priced, but it does limit your ceiling. Thank you for maximizing my DFS experience. The real legend, keep it up. I appreciate you. Sal, I live near the Bills Stadium. Wow, crazy weather. Both defenses and all running backs be in play. Yeah, both defenses are in play. All the running backs are in play. Yep. Who has the best chance to score tonight? The best chance to score tonight. Oof, that's tough. The Bills really running the red zone. There's only like 4 or 5 touchdowns even projected tonight. The best chance, if I had to bet on one player to score tonight, I think I'd bet Steph Diggs still. Don't play the kickers. Watching them warm up is a disaster. Yeah, man, the kickers, large field tournaments is probably the only way I play kickers tonight because they'll be lower on than usual. But I'm not playing a kicker in my single entry lineup as of now. Thank you for your answer, information, and content. No problem. Any big inactive? Sorry, I'm late. Isaiah McKenzie is inactive. Zach Moss is active. If you're a Patreon member, the updates will be coming out shortly for Zach Moss being now in. What do I expect from there, you might ask? I expect Zach Moss to play, 25, 35% of the snaps, see somewhere around 5 touches. You're hoping for a touchdown. Knox or Singletary? I'll take Singletary. Definitely Josh Allen. I could see him running a lot. Ownership equals KFC. I don't know what that means. All props and DK aside, who's winning tonight, Sal? I got the Patriots. I'll take the Bills. Knox a score all day. Ooh. Alrighty, gang. Henry and Jonnu, the double tight end. Ooh, the sneaky double tight end might actually be in play tonight, yeah. Any props you really like tonight on Prize Picks? I have 4 props so far on Prize Picks tonight. None on Underdog. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't like this slate, so I'm not going to have much in play. I think I have like $100 in props, and I'll probably have like a couple hundred in DFS. Stevenson over rushing, Diggs over rushing, and I took these receiving yard numbers earlier, although I don't really like them as much now with the weather getting worse, but what the fuck? What the fuck you going to do? What the fuck you going to do? Alrighty, gang. I think we've been doing good. We've been live for an hour. If you're not already subscribed, we're like 100 away from 45,000 subscribers. It doesn't really, just a whole number, but I appreciate if you want to subscribe if you're not already. To the 1,050 of you watching this, get your final questions in right now. Get them all in there. Let's answer these final questions up right now. But yes, appreciate y'all tuning in. Tomorrow morning, the first look video is already scheduled to go out at 5 a.m. East Coast time, so watch that. Or 6 a.m. East Coast time, I think. Need any coding projects done, Sal? I don't believe so, JS. I don't believe so right now. What's your handicap? I have no idea. I've golfed like 2 times in my life. I would like to actually get good at it so I can go out more often. Great call on Kittle this week. That was straight fire. Yeah, he was the best leverage play in the slate and ended up just working out to the perfect extremes, which is obviously luck, but we play the variance game. Manning cast tonight. Oh, is that true? That sounds fun. All right, so pork chops or spaghetti for the leverage. Both. I don't know. Tonight, I'll go with pork chops. If you never watch golf and don't know anything about it, can you still win in DFS? Yes, most definitely. Yeah, you need to have tools. You can't just like build a lineup without having tools or anything. But yeah, you don't need to watch golf. I mean, they don't even let you watch golf. They don't even fucking air it. They don't have a way to air it outside of like the one stream each day that they're talking about other shit rather than the holes, right? So, I mean, being familiar with it is going to give you a built-in edge, especially if you're really familiar with it. But at the end of the day, DFS golf comes down to leverage, like any other DFS sport, but even more in golf, because golf is it's all mental. It's all recent performance for a lot of it, historical plus recent, yes, short-term versus long-term form. But golf, for the course fit to a very small extent, it comes down to ownership. When guys are like 25% owned because they've made back-to-back top 10 finishes or top 25s or 5 straight made cuts, and they're like 25, 30% owned, it's the perfect time to fade them because golf is literally all it is ownership. It's just leverage. And now there's some things in golf like your iron play, how stable your tee to green play and your ball striking is that really set you apart. Hence Victor Hovland winning this weekend. Hence Colin Morikawa winning for 3 rounds and looking like he was going to be the number 1 player in the world. Hence why the best players in the world are really good with their irons. They're second shot players and on short courses can just win it outright every time. So that makes it a little bit more stable. Knowing and understanding that will give you a little bit of a leg up and not just choosing the worst fucking lineups. But yeah. Which wide receiver has the best yards after the catch? On this slate, I don't have that number in front of me right now, but my guess would be that on this slate, yards after the catch is going to go to Stephon Diggs. Breeder or Singletary? I will go Singletary out of those 2. Stevenson, Myers, Beasley, Monday to Thursday cash. All right, best of luck. Alrighty. Yeah, I'm going to update for Zach Moss. People are asking me. Zach Moss is probably going to project out for me for like 4 to 5 fantasy points today. Somewhere in that range, 4 to 5 fantasy points, which, yeah, if you're playing in a large field tournament tonight, it does make him interesting. It does indeed make him interesting at $600 tonight, 4 to 5 fantasy points. It makes him the best play. Zach Moss is now currently the best play below $3,000 for the person who asked earlier, now that we know that he's in play today. And what does that do for the other running backs in this backfield? Yeah, I mean, it makes Matt Breida an even worse play. Matt Breida was already a terrible play today. Now Matt Breida is going to project out for like 5 fantasy points for me, somewhere in that range. So Matt Breida went from bad play to even worse play today. A touchdown or even a touchdown might still make him bust, but a touchdown or bust all the way. Devin Singletary is still fine at his price point, but nowhere near as fine. Still fine, but nowhere near as fine at his price point. It's just not as secure, I would say. But yeah, Zach Moss is in play. The projections are about to be updated, by the way. If you're a Patreon member, you'll see exactly what I have Zach Moss projected at. Hey, Sal, just tuning in. Who are your favorite SuperDraft captains? I think Cole Beasley is a good captain. A very sneaky captain option is Ramondre Stevenson at a high multiplier, low ownership, and not an insane projection, but the high multiplier kind of makes up for it if he indeed hits. All right. We are updating the projections for tonight's slate over on Patreon for Zach Moss being in and Isaiah McKenzie being out. Let me update that right now. Bada bing, bada bang. Sunday, Monday, Showdown, right? Monday, yeah. What day is this? Fucking Monday. All right, cool. Moss in, McKenzie out. The update has been made. The limit does not exist. Belichick going to scheme for Diggs. He might. We remember when Belichick's schemes work. We don't remember when they don't work. It's hard to scheme out Stephon Diggs, but the weather will surely help that. Makes it a lot easier to scheme him out. Cole for 50 air yards tonight. Lock it in. 50 air yards. Oh, boy. What a game. Hello from West Texas. Hello. Which one out of these? Beasley, Stephon Diggs, or Myers for Monday to Thursday cash, please? Just projection-wise? I mean, I'll go Myers just projection-wise. Monday to Thursday, Monday to Thursday, I just wait for the Thursday slate, my man. Don't play any of those fucking guys. Just wait for the Thursday slate. Play like KJ Osborne and those dudes in fucking Tyler Conklin and guys who are going to benefit from Adam Thielen being out. Don't play. If you're playing the Monday to Thursday slate, the best way to play the Monday to Thursday slate is to fade this whole fucking slate. Play a defense on this slate and then play everybody on the Thursday slate. That Thursday slate is going to have like a 50 implied total with actual healthy offenses with not crazy weather. That is the ultimate cheat code tonight. Everybody on the Monday to Thursday slate loves to play the guys who are playing tonight because they want to watch them. They want to eat their food and have their bets with the guys playing tonight. Nobody's patient these days in any format, right? So just load up on Thursday. That is the best way to probably play anything tonight. Monday to Thursday, play everybody there. What's your thoughts now on Moss? I got him for like 4 to 5 fantasy points. He's the best play below $3,000. That's about it. Touchdown upside is surely there. If he gets like 6 to 8 carries tonight, he might run one in. So he's in play in large fields, and because of his price tag, he becomes a play in like all formats. Small field, single entry, and 3-max still not really much upside in going to him. Still, in my opinion, in small field stuff. You're taking a lot more risk. What's for dinner for Monday Night Football this week? Yeah, no idea. I'm about to get off of this and have no idea what I'm eating, which isn't great, right? Oy. Today hit negative 22 degrees Fahrenheit with wind chill. Hope we hit the millie so I can move somewhere warm. Oh, man, that's brutal. There's basically nothing left to bet on Prize Picks. All righty, gang. We're going to bounce. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Thank you for being here. Lovely stream tonight. I appreciate Laz and the other people who donated to the stream tonight, so thank you. Appreciate that a ton. Hope you enjoy the game. It's actually, it's a meaningful game for playoff stakes. It'll be interesting. We get to see these two teams play a couple of times in like the next month, so that's a lot of fun. Thank you for tuning in today. Enjoy the crazy weather that's going to be out there tonight. Best of luck on your bets, your props, your DFS. If you win, let me know. Hit me up. If you're in the Discord right now, if you're a Patreon member, the updates for Zach Moss being in and Isaiah McKenzie being out have been up. No need to update anything else unless some ownership stuff changes on my end, which I don't expect it to. So thank you for being here. Appreciate you all a ton. I'll see you all in the next one tomorrow morning, First look at week 14. Week 14 is looking early on like a very fun slate. This past week was the best slate of the entire year. I said for leverage, we said it all week long coming into it on the Sunday stream. Ended up working out lovely for us. Next week, we don't know any ownership yet, so we can't get too crazy ahead of ourselves. Next week's slate, though, looks pretty damn fun because we actually have some crazy games. Bucks, Tampa next week. Vegas and Chiefs, the only game the Chiefs have looked good in the past fucking 2.5 months where they dropped 40 against Vegas. Who else? Dallas plays. The Chargers are back on the slate. So, yeah, it's a fun slate. Alrighty, gang. Peace out. I'll see you when I see you, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace. What a stream. Sheesh.